Hi, everybody. Frank Gladstone here, yet again, talking with Eiji Han Shimizu. I did okay that
You did
time.
it right.
And we're talking about his film True North. I want to tell you a little bit about Eiji first. First, he was born in Yokohama, but he is of Korean extraction. His family, his mom, I think, was Korean, yeah. And uh, he is a creator of, he does a lot of documentary work and is most known for his manga series, which has been published all over the world. And also doing documentary, most especially one called Happy, which he traveled around the world with a documentary filmmaker and made this documentary about what makes people happy. This film is not exactly happy. True North is a different story entirely. So I would like to start our little interview with Aji telling me how you came to explore this subject and what drove you to it.
Okay. As you mentioned, I have worked on the manga series, and basically like a biography, like comic book, based on the lives of our modern day superheroes, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi. And I kind of learned the skill, how to make a storyboard. And then because manga is, in essence, is pretty much a storyboard of animated film. So I felt that I can do something with this art form. And then I wanted to do something more impactful. And at the same time, I have completed this documentary film on happiness. And then film was released, I guess, like 9 years ago. And even today, we hear some feedback from people around the world saying that the film was amazing. And actually, I heard that somebody decided not to commit suicide because of film. Then I thought that the films, in this case, a documentary, made such an impact. Then I wanted to do something with manga and movies. Then naturally, I thought that, okay, maybe animated film is the next big thing that I should undertake. So I decided to make an animated film.
Now, the film starts and ends with a TED talk with the character talking about what has happened, and then it goes into the story of this family that's separated. Early on, the father is removed, and the brother and sister and mom end up in a North Korean terrible prison camp, kind of a concentration camp thing, and using them as the storyline to tell about what goes on there, and then it ends in the TED talk as well. Now, you've done a few TED talks over time. The ones I know about are the ones about happy, and then you were I think you were in mid-production on this movie when you did the last TED talk I saw. So TED talk seems to be the donut around the story, the kind of intro and the denouement at the end. Was that how you planned it initially, to do it that way?
Yes, I'm a big fan of TED Talks, and
Mhm.
I learned a lot. And then it's just like it's a manifestation of the world stage,
Right.
where you can express your opinions or the history. And I want my main character to reveal what's really going on in North Korea at the most prestigious stage. So I naturally thought that the TED would be a good fit.
Yeah, and it is kind of an interesting way in a way at the end that does this. Now, the story itself, no, two things. It's very difficult to watch, and it's animated. And what, besides the fact that you've been doing manga and you thought this would be a next step, how do you find the animation? I mean, you've never done an animated film before now. How did you come to that and find the wherewithal to do it, and to do it in a way that you could afford to do?
Right, right. Um, I considered different forms of media as well to
Mhm.
tell the story of a North Korean political prison camp.
Right.
You know, it could have been manga, it could have been documentary, it could be live action films.
Right.
But what's going on there? I interviewed quite a few defectors and survivors. The story is too bleak. If you see the live action films or documentaries and see people being tortured, publicly executed, or I don't know, you name it, the worst human rights abuse.
Anything you can think of. Any
Yeah,
terrible thing you can think of.
right. I mean, it's too bleak to bear.
Right.
And then it's interesting that if you keep confronting these such a horrendous images, you kind of get numb, and you don't feel the humanity to it. So I thought it's very important to find a very accessible and relatable character depictions. And I think, you know, the animation have such a great forms to express that. So yes, imagine what I showed in my True North in live action films. You know, it's like a horror movie.
Yeah, it would be that way. So animation maybe lets you step back slightly. You still see the story, you still follow the story, but you know, it allows you to bear witness without running screaming into the night, I guess.
Right, right.
The other
Still
thing is,
connected, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is, there's not a lot of footage from these places. Korea doesn't, North Korea doesn't, they don't tell you about them. You know, they don't say we have these terrible places.
Right, right.
So there's not a lot of, you know.
Yeah, I cannot bring the you know,
Yeah,
cameras or
right.
notepad into it. First of all, I'll get shot, but there's nobody, you know, going inside and then document what's going on.
So you said you interviewed people who had defected. You've interviewed people who've escaped. Maybe people who worked in the prisons. I don't know, who are away, who got away. So it is an amalgam story. It's a compilation of the stories that you've heard from other people, and using this family as the kind of the focus of that. And that must have been how long did you? How many people did you talk with?
So in total, probably close to 30 people who have, and 5 of which have been to political prison camps. One being the former guard, and then the 4 others are actually like suffered tremendously for years in camp. And then the rest, I interviewed the defectors who actually came from Japan, moved to North Korea when they were young, and then endure the hardship and decide to move to North Korea. But I was able to communicate with them in Japanese. So there are many of these ladies.
That's like your mother's story. She was in love with the guy who was in Seven Samurai, I think. One of the actors who was Korean and decided to
who looked like that actor.
And decided to go to North Korea thinking it was going to be paradise.
Right.
And it was not.
Yeah. So in 1960s, 70s, and a bit of 80s, Japan has this huge campaign promoting North Korea as a heaven on earth. Right. It's like a, you know, like a communist showcase of what the ideal society would be like. And back then, Koreans, both from South and North, are not treated as like first-class citizens in Japan, you know. My mom's generations were so attracted to this campaign. You know, let's go back to North Korea and then create the ideal nation together. It's such a like idealistic society out there. So a boy whom my mom fell in love with, although they didn't have a date, they didn't even start going out. But they
Right.
kind of knew that both of them
Right.
feel for each other. And then he one day said that if I moved to North Korea, I would get a free educations and my parents wouldn't be starving. So they decided to move to North Korea. And ever since they left, nobody knew where they ended up.
Yeah.
So if my mom had made a different decision or two, then I could have been in North Korean political
Yeah.
prison camp. So
You would have grown up like the boy does in the story, as a
yeah,
young child
yeah,
growing up in a really, really bad place.
right. So it's a to me, it's a kind of like a cheap sci-fi movie. Me living in Tokyo with a decent amount of lifestyle, trying to save me, who had ended up in a North Korean political prison camp through this movie.
One of the things I know that our audience will be interested in is first of all, the design of the movie. It doesn't look like movies now. And did you make it in Japan? Where did it happen all over the place, or did you pick a studio somewhere else? How did that happen?
Okay, good question. So I wish I had a lot of money.
So do we all.
Place. Yeah,
So do we all.
to my passion to be materialized. So I wrote the script on my own. I did the research, as you mentioned, and I wrote the script, and I liked it. And because of my previous documentary, I had some connection in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to some studios that we all know. And then to my surprise, they liked my script and they wanted to do something with it. And I was so excited. Okay, I can use somebody else's money and make it happen. But suddenly I started hearing nothing from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering what's going on. Then actually, it was a time when the comedy called The Interview got released. I don't know if you remember. This is a fiction film about the assassination of Kim Jong-un.
Oh yeah. I do
Right,
remember
right.
that. No,
Yeah, and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah, I remember the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the North Korea got so upset that they attacked the Sony,
Oh yeah.
which was a distributing film, and cyber attacked and everything. So long story short, I don't know if it's because of the interview movie or simply my script wasn't appealing enough, but deal was gone. Then I thought that up to that point, I had been thinking that how I could raise money to make this animated film. But I switched my thinking into how I could make animated film with the limited resource. So back then I was living in Bali. Then I thought that, okay, well, in Indonesia, there are lots of talented animators, but it wouldn't cost as much as, the hiring animators in America or in Japan. So I started learning Indonesian language, and I started hanging out with a group of young, very talented animators. And we started, little by little, because of budget. And so I self-financed it mostly.
Right.
And it was hard. I mean, but I somehow managed to make it happen.
Well, one of the things that shows, I mean, with the advent of CG that I've watched over the years, it used to be there was very few places you could get animation done. It was very difficult, hand drawn and so forth. With CG coming in, you suddenly saw all over the world, there are people that can do this.
Mhm.
And so, and you're proof of that. That, you know, suddenly you're talking about an animation group in Bali. That was not
Right.
something that in the early days of animation you could have even thought about.
Yeah.
But
Right.
nowadays,
They're based in Jakarta, but yeah,
well,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's, but and we're seeing that at the Annie Awards. Many of our films, and one of the reasons we started one of the extra categories was because these films are coming from everywhere,
Right.
including hopefully yours
That's
coming in for consideration next year or this coming year.
yeah, that's so amazing. The power of the digital revolution. Like, probably the richest man on earth is using this, and then very people who are struggling in a refugee camp may as well using this guy as well. So, you know, we are democratizing the access to information there.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
One of the questions before I sign off, I've got two more. One is other than of course greater awareness of the situation in Korea, and there's other situations like that in other countries, as you know. But other than the awareness that you're raising, what are the goals you have for the film now?
What is the goal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Besides,
yeah.
I mean, do you need like another distributor? Do you need to
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Hello, Asifa members. So, film, right now we are cutting deals with the distributors in Japan.
Good.
And then also I got inquiries from the rest of the world. But I'm very curious because I don't have a distribution scheme set in North America and also the most part of the world. So if you, the viewers, find a project or the film interesting, and most of all, you know, if you resonate with the message that we have of you know, the spreading the awareness, then please join us, and together, I think we can make a significant impact on the lives of 120,000 people stuck in political prison camps.
That's what we think the population is right now in those camps, 120,000.
Yeah, they assume that there will be over 120,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And finally, the last question is, you've done an animated film. It's in the can, so to speak, you know, and hopefully it'll get out to everywhere. Are you going to do another?
Yes, I'm so motivated to make another after Corona is gone.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a few scripts
Good.
right now, and I'll be happy to share if you are interested in joining or collaborating.
Well, that's, you know, that's the thing about animation. Once you've done it, it bites you, and you can't stop. Generally speaking, people find that it's too hard, and then when they get it done, they go, I got to do another. So that'll be great. That's great.
True.
Well, that's what we're gonna put this up in front of the movie, and
Okay.
you can watch the movie, and hopefully a lot of them will, and it'll generate some interest. And we appreciate very much that you spent the time with us today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye bye.
Bye, Frankson. Yeah.